it's author Sandra Wilson here in the Kindness Kangaroo Library for another Kangaroo tale. Kindness Kangaroo, what story are we sharing today? Today we're reading the book The Wandering Willow by Jake Evanoff. And as always, if you check the description below, you will find a link where you can get a copy of the book for yourself. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our wonderful stories. Okay, everyone, here we go. The Wandering Willow. It was the first day of autumn, and just like every year, the leaves began to fall from the branches, one by one. The pumpkins had been picked, the costumes sewn, and the fires stoked. But why was autumn such a special time for one particular girl named Madison? Because the season held a warm place in Madison's heart. From a very young age, every single autumn, Madison would go for a walk with her mother through the forest near their house. Together, they would sketch pictures of all the trees they found, giving them the funniest names. They would even try to find the mysterious wandering willow tree. What's that, you ask? It's the tree you'd find most challenging to spot in the entire forest. Legend has it that the wandering willow only reveals itself for a couple of days a year, and only to very special people. Anyone who finds the wandering willow will have their biggest wish granted. Throughout all their adventures, Madison's mother always reminded her that it's crucial never to disrupt the forest's natural state. They could explore as much as they liked, but respect the land, leaving everything just as they found it. Sadly, this year would be different. Madison's mother had to go on a business trip, so she couldn't join. Madison was disappointed, but wouldn't let her mother's absence stop her, so she tied up her boots to begin her journey into the forest. Madison had already sketched a handful of trees when she spotted something in the distance. She started moving towards it when, whoa! She slipped on some leaves and went tumbling down a hill. Crash! She landed at the bottom of the hill. When she looked up, Madison couldn't believe her eyes. Right in front of her was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. She quickly drew it in her sketchbook. Madison was so excited that she ran all the way home. She couldn't wait to show someone what she'd seen. When she handed the drawing to her dad, he did a double take and then another. He quickly went to get a notebook that belonged to Madison's mother, pulling it out and flipping to a page near the back. The two drawings were nearly an exact match. Early the next morning, Madison brought her two best friends to the same spot. Her friends couldn't believe they were looking at the wandering willow tree. Its branches swirled like firework tails, and its leaves sparkled brighter than flames. Sam and Emily were quick to make their wishes. "I wish I were 2 feet taller," declared Sam. "And I wish I had 12 pet goldfish," Emily proclaimed. But nothing happened. Could this mean that perhaps the legendary wandering willow was only a legend after all? Later, Madison received a phone call from Sam. He said you wouldn't believe it. He had just grown 2 feet taller. Madison's conversation with Sam was interrupted by another from Emily, who wanted to borrow some fish food because she now had 12 goldfish to feed. Surprisingly, the wishing had worked. Madison's friends had confirmed it. The wandering willow did grant wishes. Word sped quickly around the small town. Soon there was a long line of neighbors asking where they could find the tree. Madison agreed to bring them to it. What's the worst that could happen, she wondered. Every day, more and more people were seeing their wishes come true. Jennifer got 28-inch heels. Anthony was granted a thicker, nicer head of hair. And Roger received dentures for his pet turtle. But there was a big problem. Madison noticed that the more wishes people made, the weaker the tree began to look. It started to sag, slowly losing its leaves. Madison remembered what her mother had said so many times about respecting nature. So she faced the crowd and declared that everyone needed to stop making wishes. But nobody would listen to her. How could everyone be so selfish? Madison asked herself. Out of nowhere, a massive storm took over the skies. The winds were blowing hard, and it was raining cats and dogs. Then suddenly, the tree was struck by a tremendous bolt of lightning. The wandering willow had become so weak that it crashed to the ground. Madison knelt near the stump where the wandering willow once stood. She felt disappointed in the people of her town, but she was even more upset with herself because her actions had led everyone to the tree. She looked straight at the wandering willow and cried, "I wish I could go back in time and keep you a secret." Just then, the clouds parted and the storm moved on. The next morning, Madison's mother returned from her trip. Madison told her everything that had happened and regretfully apologized. But her mother wasn't upset. In fact, she said there was a surprise waiting in the backyard. Confused, Madison headed outside. She couldn't believe her eyes. A small willow sapling had sprouted overnight. Madison's mother told her that even people with the best intentions sometimes make mistakes, which is okay. And best of all, Madison and the townspeople were getting a second chance. In the end, the revived willow tree didn't need to wander anymore. It now had a permanent home where it could grow old and thrive without disruption. The people in Madison's town realized they could work on pursuing their life dreams without needing to make wishes. And they were all amazed to see how the wandering willow continued to flourish. Its sparkling leaves would grow back every spring, filling out the strong and supple branches, one by one. So that is the story of The Wandering Willow by Jake Evanoff. And I think it's a wonderful story to kind of give us a lesson in ourselves. You know, everybody had wishes. Some of them maybe as silly, like dentures for your turtle. But sometimes that's how people are when they think they're going to get something, or they think they want something, and they're not as important as maybe it would be to keep the tree safe, to keep nature protected. And we kind of learn that through this story, that, you know, instead of making wishes, why don't we follow our dreams and work hard to get what we want or what we need, and that way we're not overusing something like a wishing tree. So I think it's a great story to teach us that lesson. And I think that also shows the importance of stories to sometimes give us lessons. Sometimes we need to be reminded about things because sometimes we take things for granted, which means that, you know, we get so used to having things that we don't remember what it's like not to have it, or we don't realize how much work it is to get it, or we don't realize that having too much can cause other problems. And so those are important reminders for us. And books like The Wandering Willow can give us that kind of reminder, that lesson that we need to remember. And that's why I love to share the joy of reading here in the Kindness Kangaroo Library, and how I want you to help me share that joy of reading by giving me a book review. What that means is I want you kids to draw a picture of your favorite story. It could be a picture from The Wandering Willow. It could be a picture from a book that you have at home. Maybe it's a book that you borrowed from the library that you love so much. What I want you to do is draw a picture about that book, about that story. What did you like about that story? What does that story remind you of? Maybe it's just like the front cover. Send that picture here to us at the Kindness Kangaroo Library. Include the book title and the author, as well as your first name and age. And we're hoping to gather all these book reviews to put into a calendar to share with libraries, bookstores, schools, and everybody that loves books, so that we can continue to share the love of reading. And people can look at this and go, oh, look, these kids love this book. Maybe we'll check it out so that we can enjoy it as well. So I think that's a huge win-win situation. So remember to check the description below, not only to get a copy of this book for yourself, but also to find out more about the Kindness Kangaroo Library Literacy Project. Bye now.